Welcome back to this solo playthrough of the Bismarck scenario from Atlantic Chase, and we will just jump right back into the action. Now, up to this point, it's hard to imagine this going much better for the Germans, and I can assure you, having played this a couple of times before doing this for the video, it can go a lot worse for the Germans, but hopefully we're about to see the British start a bit of a fight back. So the weather changes to bad, which again should help the Germans a little bit here. And now we roll to find out what action the British take. So on a 3, they take an X action. So I gotta just quickly remind myself what that is, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so first things first, I'm rolling a die and checking a table in the scenario rules, which will tell me which British task force is going to be selected here. This is an interception action. So what that result means is I select the nearest task force with a battle cruiser. So I've got 2 task force with battle cruisers in them. So I've got the Renowned, which is down here in Gibraltar. And by the way, I noticed that I had forgotten to place this station here in Gibraltar, so I've added that to the board. And then I've got the Hood, which is right here. And clearly the Hood is closer. The Hood is only 4 hexes away, so that is clearly more than 4 hexes away. So the other part about this is that there's going to be coordination. So there's already going to be coordination here because I'm in a hex with this convoy, and so this convoy is going to provide coordination. If it hadn't been there, then I would have activated another task force to provide coordination. So what happens here is that the British do what's called, they take actions intended to bring to battle the German task force. And so that's all sort of covered, how to think about that in the scenario rules. But essentially what they're going to do, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to lay down a trajectory. So having gotten reports that this task force is under assault, this task force gets going. So it will lay down that trajectory. We can take the station off the map for that purpose. And then so this is the active task force. This is the coordinating task force. So we will be doing an engage action. Since the Germans are a station, we can do an engage action. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the trajectory total because our coordinating task force is station. It's not adding anything to that. And then let's go quickly look up what our coordinating task force gets us. And so you can see that right here. So the British are going to get a +1 to this roll because they are coordinating in bad weather. So one thing I forgot is that I place an intel marker on this trajectory segment because they are entering a hex with an intel trigger. This station is an intel trigger, so I have an intel marker here. So what that means is that the Germans have the ability to actually roll for interruption, which they are going to do. So we come down here to the engage table. We would be over here. But before we do that, we're going to roll over here on the interrupt table. So we get an 8, which is a -2 to this roll. So we're rolling on that 5 to 9 column with a -1. That's an 8. That's a miss. So with that, what will happen is that the task forces that are involved in this will time lapse, and this one doesn't have any segments, so it won't, but this one will. So it is going to roll because it is bad weather, so it will roll for how many segments to take off. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it will take off all 5 of those, and it will become a station. And so we have quite a lot brewing there. So this has led to an interesting question, which is technically I'm removing the segment with this intel marker, but I can't because the intel limit would not allow me to. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. And if anybody does, please post in the comments to actually let me know what I should have done here. But what I'm going to do in the absence of knowing what to do is I'm going to say that I'm going to only remove 4 segments, and I'm not going to end up removing this one with the intel marker. So I'll be left with a task force that is 1 trajectory long. And with that engage action, we will then vie for initiative. So the British maintain initiative, and now they will roll once again on this British action table to determine what they do. So there is a C result. So again, we pretty well know what the C result is. We're going to choose the convoy with the smallest number of segments. Let me just clean up here. Actually, I can take this off the board. We take the convoy with the smallest number of segments, and we attempt to do a complete action. So that's this, but he can't do a complete action because he doesn't have a trajectory down. So he is going to, this is going to get a little bit crowded in here. He's going to put 1 there. We'll get that off to make some room. Now, he is going to get his own intel marker because he is placing a trajectory in a space with this intel trigger. But then he will finish moving segments like this. And then so that is that. And then to complete that, he can't complete because he has an intel marker, so he will time lapse. Now we would roll the die again because it's bad weather, but we do know we're going to remove this, so we are intel limited. So what that means with a very slow convoy is he's actually only going to remove this, but it will remove both the intel and the contact, which is definitely helpful for him. But that is a time lapse, so what that means then is that initiative is going to pass over to the Germans. On to the German activation now, and first things first, we roll for weather. So the weather does not change. So an interesting situation here. So this convoy's trajectory is within 2 of a British airbase, but we do have bad weather. So at least for now, we wouldn't be subject to an air attack, but definitely by the next British activation, that could be different. And we've got the Hood and the Prince of Wales bearing down on us. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go after this convoy here. This is protected, if you recall, by not a terrible battleship. So this is not without some risk here, but we're going to take this chance and see if we can't maybe peel off the Rodney from this convoy and then make this convoy a target. So to do that, I'm going to lay down, I'm going to change my station into a trajectory. I'm going to do a trajectory action, and I'm going to essentially lay down a trajectory that is going to take me here. And the reason for that, sort of having learned my lesson from the first time, is assuming I get an early or late result, which is the most likely event I think here, I'll punch a hole here, and then this will be the next trajectory. And this trajectory is not within 2 spaces of either of those air bases. So it will give us a target once we get an early or late result, assuming that's what happens. So we come down here on the naval search table, and I know from the setup, I know that this is 10 segments long, that convoy, and we're 3. So we are on this 10 to 15 column. So we're going to roll that up at this point. And we get a 5, which is an early or late result, as we kind of sort of felt it would be. So we punch a hole in the convoy, delete everything on that side of it. And then, it being a bad weather turn, we are going to we are going to roll to see how what our movement is. And our movement is a 2. So we're going to delete 2 trajectories. This intel trigger is associated with that convoy. And actually, I should move that. No, it's associated with that segment. So now, after a naval search, there is a seas initiative attempt. And I'll just move that back because I should have moved that back when the Germans. And now we're going to try, the British are going to attempt a seas initiative, and they do. So the British seas initiative now. On to the British. And again, rolling for weather. And the weather turns good. So the weather is now good, which brings the possibility of airstrikes back into play. So we come down here and we're going to roll again on this British action table. We do get this +1 now if at least one convoy in play is dispersed. Because one convoy, if you recall, we did disperse. So we are going to get a C result. So again, we pretty much know what that is since we've seen that quite a few times. But this time, this convoy has the ability. This convoy is going to get selected because it is the shortest trajectories, 4 versus 5. But this time, it has the possibility of completing because it is less than 6 and it doesn't have an intel trigger on it. So it is going to attempt to complete. So with that, we do a seas initiative roll. And the Germans seize the initiative. So that is a fail, but it does perform time lapse. So very slow, it's going to remove 2 segments. So it continues chugging its way towards Clyde, but the initiative now passes over to us. I'm gonna move that back. That was there from a previous turn. I didn't actually get a +1 that turn. I'd forgotten to move it back. We'll end this video here and come back to the game in the next video. If you're enjoying this video, if you're enjoying this series, this channel, it would be great if you could subscribe and hit the notification bell. Doing things like leaving comments, sharing, and liking the video. They all help the videos get found by other people on YouTube, which helps the channel and would be much appreciated. But we will be back in the next video with more of Atlantic Chase.